Before I start, I'd like to thank Aagerds for suggesting this versus video matchup between a Barraki and a Glatorian. For this fight I've selected Ehlek as the Barraki and Vastus for the Glatorian, as these are the two characters which I found to have the most useful information on their bios in the Bionicle wiki. Again, I'll be talking about these two characters as they were in their physical prime. For Ehlek, this is arguably when he was mutated in the pit. I say arguably because although he was no longer the feared warlord he once was, there isn't much information on his powers before he became mutated. Also, he's most recognisable as a Barraki. As for Vastus, it's simply when he was a Glatorian on Barraki in the 2009 story arc, and as he was portrayed at the time of the legendary Bone movie. Ehlek was one of the warlords who ruled over the League of the Six Kingdoms alongside his fellow Barraki around 100,000 years ago. Ehlek was entrusted to keep the peace along with his fellow warlords, but soon struck out by himself to gain power. Ehlek conquered many lands until the League of the Six Kingdoms spanned almost the entire Matoran universe, except only for Kanohi, Altaka and the mysterious Southern Islands. Then, around 80,000 years ago, Ehlek attempted to overthrow the Great Spirit himself with the League's huge armies. Pterodax spearheaded a campaign to destroy the League with the tower and succeeded, being banished to the pit by Botan moments before his execution. The waters around the pit mutated Ehlek and caused him to gain rows of spines along his back, mandibles around his mouth and claws on his hands. Physically, Ehlek wasn't as severely mutated as other victims of the Great Cataclysm, as he had already been a natural water breather and already adapted to life in the water. Aside from the spikes that covered his body, Ehlek lacked any armour and relied on his natural weapons and defences in combat. Vastus earned his fame and recognition as a field commander in the Cold War, where he fought for the Element Lord of Jungle, which led the Jungle Tribe. He joined the Jungle Tribe after the war and is known to have defeated Tariks and forced him to lead his regiment into a tunnel system, leading him to a platoon led by Malum. Later, Vastus went on to defeat Gelu in a match and thus win the Glatorian Championship. While wandering the night, Vastus encountered some Borax which he managed to defeat. As a result of this, Vastus is known for being a competent warrior. The only other Glatorian he is known to have trouble defeating being Malum. When Matanui, Akar and Kina came to Glatorian Arena to warn of the threat posed by the Skrull, Vastus was part of the defence force fighting troops on the ground as Pterodax and his minions attacked, backed up by the forces of the Skrull. After Pterodax died, Vastus witnessed Matanui deactivate back into the Mask of Life. Vastus is insanely battle-hardened and has masses of experience as a warrior, while Ehlek is a master tactician and commander, regularly serving as leader both during the days of the League and also in Mari Nui when commanding his army of eels and his powerful Lieutenant Nocturne. Considering that Vastus is a Glatorian, he is likely to be more proficient at one-on-one fights and has more armour than Ehlek, who relies on his natural attributes in combat, so in terms of physical capability and resistance, Vastus takes it. Now we'll have a look at their weaponry. Ehlek had an array of cruel weaponry, including a rows of spines along his back that could emit a powerful electric blast that could stun and even kill enemies. Additionally, Ehlek wielded a squid launcher and a protosteel tri-talons on both his hands which, similar to Prydax's claws, could shred virtually anything. The squid launch was used to fire an organic sea creature native to the pit at an enemy which would latch onto a target and begin sucking the life energy from it in an almost vampiric manner. They did this using their sharp teeth that tore away an enemy's armour or skin, draining them of their energy until they died. Vastus used a venom talon, a crude but dangerous weapon that was tipped with a spear on one end and a Thornax launcher on the other. The spear could inject the poison from a talon snake into an enemy, a venom which was powerful enough to paralyse a fully grown Glatorian. The Thornax launcher is a light, durable, simple and easy to operate device, considered to be simple to repair and the best weapon an Agori could create. The launchers were used to fire an explosive fruit native to Barraki called the Thornax, which were most effective when they were ripe and overripe. This way they were almost rock hard and had the chance to explode on impact, proving to be especially devastating in combat. Considering that both Ehlek and Vastus have the capability to stun and paralyse their enemies using the weapons they have, it's unlikely they won't be able to get far by using these abilities against each other in a combat situation. Both have ranged launches, however Vastus has a large melee weapon to possibly defect Ehlek's squid, whereas Ehlek doesn't and even lacks armour on his body to sufficiently block a Thornax shot. This could stun Ehlek for several minutes while Vastus advances with his Venom Talon. The critical moment will be when Ehlek attacks using his Tri-Talons. Seeing as they can tear through pretty much anything, Vastus would have a hard time trying to pierce Ehlek's skin in order to inject the Talon Snake poison. For that reason, I predict that Ehlek will be able to retaliate more effectively and literally rip Vastus to shreds, bringing down any defences brought by his melee weapon and Glatorian armour. I think at close quarters, Ehlek would simply be too savage to overcome, and the fact that he doesn't have a melee weapon as such, apart from its claws, that would be more likely to put Ehlek on the offensive, and Vastus would have to resort to being defensive. Therefore, I give this point to Ehlek. Seeing as neither Ehlek nor Vastus wore Kanohi, they lack any elemental powers. Vastus was granted the power over air by Matanui after their victory against the Skrull, but time analysing their powers before this part of the storyline, therefore I'll cut straight to the verdict. Ehlek and Vastus will be on a similar power level and are fairly equal in the sense that neither have any Kanohi powers or elemental powers. This will be decided purely by physical strength, cunning and general skill at combat. While Vastus is definitely a more frontline ground unit, Ehlek is a higher status commander type who would obviously be capable of holding his own in combat, otherwise his armies would have no reason to obey his commands. Because of Ehlek's position, I wouldn't hesitate to say that Ehlek is a more adept tactician and strategist, and clearly knows the ins and outs of warfare. Vastus is more of an elite soldier who has seen more than his fair share of action. While I think the Glatorian has a slight edge in ranged combat, Ehlek has more going for him in close quarters. In order for Vastus' weapon to be most effective, it requires him to be able to land a blow on Ehlek. The Barraki is obviously incredibly savage, and the sharpness of his talons lashing out at a target would probably leave Vastus on the defensive and on guard the whole time. And given the Barraki's slight frame and lack of armour, getting a decent hit on him with a venom talon would be fairly difficult. Parrying would be difficult as Ehlek's talons would probably be able to slice through the weapon given he got a good hit. Because of this, I would say that Ehlek would just be able to take victory.